a WikiVidi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Authority, novel. Authority is a 2014 novel by Jeff VanderMeer. It is the second in a series of 3 books called the Southern Reach Trilogy. The book is said to focus on the Southern Reach Agency. In an interview, VanderMeer states that, if Annihilation is an expedition into Area X, then Authority is an expedition into the Southern Reach, the agency sending in the expeditions. It was released in May 2014. Plot summary. Authority revolves around the operatives of the Southern Reach Agency. The agency is responsible for the investigation into the unexplained phenomena of Area X. The second book takes place in the human-inhabited areas, unlike the first book Annihilation, which was completely set within Area X. John Rodriguez aka Control takes over as the new director of the Southern Reach Agency. He is a secret operative assigned by the mysterious Central Group which oversees the Southern Reach Agency. He comes from a family of operatives. His mother and grandfather are prominent and influential members. Control reports to a handler called The Voice at the Central over phone calls and emails. In his role as director, Control frequently encounters friction with the existing staff to various degrees. In particular, the assistant director Grace Stevenson is against him and tries to outdo him at every opportunity. In spite of this resistance, Control methodically sifts through the accumulated data and works out several key facts. Control learns that the previous director was the psychologist of the 12th expedition. He also finds that there were many more missions than have been disclosed to the public. The 11th expedition alone had multiple iterations with slightly different control factors similar to a lab experiment. The 12th expedition had an all-female crew to see how this composition would interact with Area X. The biologist, who is the protagonist of the first book, and the psychologist were both part of the 12th expedition. Control interrogates the biologist who is undergoing debriefing after she mysteriously reappeared in a vacant lot. Slowly, he begins to empathize with her and understand her interest in the area's ecosystem. However, he doesn't gain any information about Area X or what happened there, so he decides to use unconventional tactics to get the biologist to talk. Control suspects that he is under hypnosis and guesses that his handler, The Voice, is hypnotizing him to steer his investigation. He breaks out of this hypnosis cycle, allowing him to work more independently and make quicker progress on the investigation. However, it alienates him from Central and he relies upon his mother to protect him from any retaliation. Central forcibly moves the biologist from the Southern Reach into their own detention facility, as they believe Control has developed an emotional attachment to the biologist. A replica of the psychologist re-emerges from Area X, and this breach causes the border to advance into inhabited areas. Control abandons the Southern Reach office as Area X envelops the premises. Meanwhile, Control finds out that the previous director/psychologist was the little girl in a photo found at the lighthouse in Area X. This completely modifies Control's outlook about Area X, as it is now clear that the psychologist is somehow deeply interlinked with the anomaly. Elsewhere, the biologist escapes detention. Based on his knowledge of the biologist's background files and his intuition, Control correctly guesses where she would go. He follows her with Central close behind, finally meeting her at a remote location. The biologist has discovered another portal to Area X, a pool of water. She jumps into the pool and Control hears a voice inside his head, urging him to follow her. Reception. Authority made the bestsellers list for trade fiction paperback for the May 25, 2014 edition of the New York Times. Entertainment Weekly gave Authority a B+, saying that the story in Authority elevates the series beyond bio-thriller to something truly compelling. The New York Times also gave Authority favorable review. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more